diver, stand up. Square that rig and approach the rail.
Welcome back to another movie review. If you enjoy movies that are based on true stories, then you're gonna surely love this one. Today I am reviewing the movie Men of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robert De Niro. Now, in the year of the 40s, it was common for people to, well, let's put it this way. In the 40s, it was common for black people to not be so wealthy, so high up on the food chain. But let me tell you this. A man is able to change his stars, literally. Okay? Anybody. Any person is really able to change his stars to feel like he is bigger, better than everyone else. And he does. So, in this movie, you got Robert De Niro, who is played by Master Diver Sunday. And he is in the U.S. Navy. And then you got Cuba Gooding Jr., who is played by Carl Brashear. Now, Carl Brashear grew up in a typical home of where the father worked his butt off for the field and the mother worked in the house, cleaned in the house. And typically, as a child, you'd be working with your father. Well, in this case, Carl's father wants him to go to school so that he can learn and read and get a better job than what his father has of plowing a field for so many days. So as it goes, it comes to a part where his father is like, you're going to go to school today, son. And he's like, well, you know, today, Dad, I'm not going to school today. And he's like, well, why not? And he's like, well, because you say the field has to be done by Friday, and today is Friday. And his father's like, oh, crap, it's never going to be done. So what happens is Carl helps his father to plow the land, and finally it goes by years later, and he wants to join the Navy, where he joins the Navy and he's on a ship as a cook because they say, oh, you'll have a great time in the Navy, a great position. Well, for black people in the 50s, it was like, okay, join the Navy and you'll be a cook, thinking that's not going to be fun. But you know, as it goes, Carl likes to defy the rules because his father says, you know, break the rules if you have to. Well, he does. So when you're on a ship, you have certain times you can go swimming. So like for white people, you go anytime you want except for Tuesdays. And for black people, it was just Tuesdays. Now, today is Friday in the movie, and Carl's like, I'm hot and it's Friday and I'm going swimming. So he goes swimming. And the captain says to one of his guys, go get him. And so one of the guys goes and tries to get Carl, but can't. So, because Carl is such a fast swimmer as it goes. And so that's where he becomes a swimmer diver. Like, you go and rescue people from the water and all this. And that's how he starts his career, where he figures out what he wants to do with his life. He wants to be a master diver. That's what he truly what his mind really, what he really wants to do. So he has to figure out what to do about this. Well, he finds out that he talks to one of the officers that gave him the position as a swimmer, a rescue swimmer. And he's like, well, haven't I given you enough and all this? And he's like, no, like in the sense of I owe you everything you've done for me, so I owe you. And so he's like, I'd like to be a master diver. And he's like, well, there's no way in hell you're ever going to be one because just you're not. So it goes 2 years later into the future, and Carl Brashear is able to join the academy as to be a diver. And so he's there, and he stands out there all day, like literally, I mean, till nighttime, because well, even though he got accepted into being a diver, they don't want him there. They want to make his life miserable. Now, this is where Robert De Niro is the captain. Well, like the guy who's teaching everyone how to be a diver. Because what happened was he disobeyed a direct order from his superior on the ship, and he was like, okay, well, you disobeyed an order, and well, you are in deep crap. And so now he is not he's still considered, well, not really considered a master diver anymore, but he had that rank and position of that. But now he just runs his, like, school of being divers. And so finally, Carl gets into the school, and he goes to his bunk, and everyone in there is white. And so one of the guys is like, you know, I don't like to bunk with people like this. So he takes his bags and moves out. Everyone moves out except for this guy who kind of stutters. And he's like, well, you know, I'm from Wisconsin and all this. So it's like, oh, so you must be different than everyone else. And he is. He just cares about, hey, you're a person, I'm a person, let's room together, who cares? And so Carl's never been to Wisconsin, and so it speeds up that he is going through a living hell trying to be a diver, because they treat him like dirt. They wake him up in the morning and they start pouring water on him. That's what Sunday does, who is played by Robert De Niro. He pours water and then sprays him with water and tries to teach him about things. But, you know, it's hard when you only have a 7th grade education back then. And so he goes to a public library, bringing flowers, talking to a lady. And she's like, well, this is a public library. We don't do tutoring and all this. So he meets this lady named Jo. And Joe is like, you know, I'll help you. I'll help you study, okay? Because his last test he got, well, exam, was 37%. 37%. And they say if you get a bad mark again, you'll be kicked out. And that's a way for them to find an excuse to kick him out. So he learns everything, and he gets much better. He gets a 79, so he's still in school, and he's able to become still a diver. And now, as it goes, the final exam to be a diver is you have to assemble this bar and everything together with all the pieces. So what they do is they stick a hole into his bag and they throw it into the water, so that what happens is all the parts go missing. They go all over the place, and he has no light whatsoever because they took it off. And so he is blind in the dark trying to put this together. And so they never said you had a certain amount of time to do this, but you try to do it as quickly as possible. Well, Carl does it in 9 hours and 30 minutes and so forth, and he does it perfectly. But while he's underwater, they want to leave Carl under the water until he drowns, like until he freezes to death or stops moving, because you got this guy who is called Mr. Pappy, who is like a war hero, and he's a bigot. Let's put it this way: he's not very happy with Carl, because, I mean, you got the first African-American who is trying to be a diver, and, well, Mr. Pappy doesn't like it. So he's like, you're going to leave him in there until he dies and all this and everything. And so finally, they're like, okay, you're going to bring him up, because he's been down there for like over 9 hours. And so lo and behold, they feel a tug. They feel the rope going down, and they're wondering what the heck's going on. Well, Carl finished his pipe, completed it, and came back up, and he is freezing his butt off. I mean, he is so cold, he's shivering. It looks like his lips are a little bit blue. And yeah, so he finishes the pipe, and Sunday says to him, you have completed it perfectly, and he was able to become a diver. But, you know, going along with this is that back then, if you saved someone's life and you were an African American, you were considered lower class. Now, why I'm saying this is because in the movie, Carl saves another man from drowning, literally, because his pipe gets stuck in a boat in a boat, because what the task is, they have to repair a hole in a boat, and that, as a diver, that's what you have to do. If the boat is kind of sinking, you got to repair it. You got to go underwater, and then they would bring it up, and then they would blow a hole into it again and let it sink in and all that stuff. And so he goes and saves a man, and another guy gets the award from the President of the United States because Carl is African American, and well, that's what they do. So as it goes, he became a diver, and he learns to become, and he's a diver, and he does stuff. And so his mission is to find a bomb that was left in the water by, I guess, another submarine or a ship or something. And it's a race against the Russians. This could be like during the Cold War, where the Russians might bomb the United States, but never happens. And so they're looking for this big bomb. And Carl is down there in the water, and he is trying to he's trying to find this bomb. While Carl is in the water, the Soviet submarine comes by, and he's got a line down there where it's his oxygen attached to his really old, diving suit with the big helmet and all the belts and everything. And so you think, oh my gosh, he's going to get stuck there, and he's going to get whisked away, and he's going to drown or something, or his pipeline's going to break and snap off, and he's going to drown any which way. Well, lo and behold, what happens is it goes on the submarine. It's round on the front, so it slides across, and he is safe. But then it gets attached to one of the arms of the submarine, and you think, oh crap, he's gone for it, and it's moving him and everything, and he finally gets free from that. And then next thing you know, a propeller. He's like an inch away from the propeller, killing him. Well, from the Russian submarine going by, he is able to locate the bomb because it brought up all the dirt and everything. And so he locates the bomb, and they're all happy, and they're hoisting it up while Carl's on the boat. And lo and behold, the bomb drops into the water and snaps a piece off the boat. And Carl loses part of his leg. I mean, literally, it is like a side of it is torn off, and he's not able to walk. So he's in the hospital for some time. It ends his career, but he tells everyone and the doctor, like, cut my leg off and put a fake leg there, just like, you know, people, pilots, anybody in the war, they get a fake limb on. So, and he's like, well, that's not going to do anything. The doctor tells him that's not going to do anything because your career is over. And he's like, no, it's not over. I'm going to be a master diver. And so the thing is, with that, he has to learn how to wear the new suit and walk 12 steps with it, so that with his fake leg, so that he is able to become an active duty again. Well, lo and behold, who comes by but Sunday, who is a real douchebag to Carl all this time, because just wants him to quit, wanted him to get out of his diving class. And so he's like, I'm going to help you. You got like 12 weeks to do this, apparently, as it goes. But literally, they only gave him 4 weeks. They only gave Carl 4 weeks. And so you got this guy named Hank, who is a real douchebag. I mean, worse than Sunday. Because he wants to see Carl fail at this, not succeed. Well, so they're in court, Navy court and stuff like that. And he is wearing this whole entire suit that's not made out of brass anymore. It's made out of copper, which seems a bit lighter and better, but still a pain in the butt to carry because it's super heavy. So the new rule book with this copper diving suit is that he has to stand up on his own because it seems lighter, so he should be able to. So he gets up, and who's in front of him but Sunday, standing there saying, okay, get up, do this, and walk. And so he's like 1, and he takes a step all the way up to 10. And as he gets to, it gets to 9. And then when he gets to 10, Sunday starts saying these different phrases and everything until he gets to 12. He gets to 12 and he becomes active duty. Okay, that's what happens. Carl becomes back to active duty, and in 1968, he becomes a master diver, the first African-American gentleman to become a master diver ever in United States. And they're so happy about it and everything. So at the end result, the movie was great. It was a really good one. Yeah, if you're not a big fan of swearing, then I mean, don't watch it. But if you can look past all that swearing and look at the history behind it, look at the true facts about it and everything, it is very well done. I mean, very well done. And so yeah. And so yeah, if you enjoyed this movie, hit that thumbs up button. Also, don't forget to subscribe below and put a comment, which I know you won't because I ask you all the time and no one puts comments except for me to say, hey, did you enjoy this movie? Comment, like the video. Okay, other than that, you guys don't do it. But also, word of advice, stay safe while the coronavirus is going crazy. Wash your hands all the time. Wear gloves. Do all you can not to touch your face or touch your mouth or touch your food without washing your hands before. And don't forget to call your friends, family, and all your loved ones just to let them know that you're okay, that everything's great, that you're fine. See if they need anything, if they need help, because it's important to stay connected to family, because without family, you really got nothing. Or even if it's just your friends as you consider your family and stuff like that, give them a call, see how they're doing, let them know you're safe and everything. And yeah, and thank you for watching my video.